Hiya, Sophie here with the Sims 4 PS4 build. Today is part 5 of the retail centre, and this will be the flower shop part. This is what I was talking about when I was building the coffee shop, of the idea of a balcony that looks down into a garden. So I thought of encompassing that with a lower level shop as well. Here I started with the shape of it and thought of a little nook at the front of the shop that would have these archways that would have like flowers and stuff in the middle, and then because it's a basement, well, not a basement but a ground floor level shop, I needed to try and get as much light in as possible. Choosing windows, I just chose whatever would give me the most light, including those kind of terrarium looking sort of windows that also tied in with the plant flower shop feel. And then I'm just going through and selecting all the sort of retail bits that I wanted, and I was trying to figure out a color scheme, but I just struggled to figure it out and pick what I wanted at this point, so I just moved on to a bunch of other stuff until I figured out what colors to use. So I just deleted everything and just started again because it was just very, very confusing. I was trying to find a more like natural kind of color scheme, and then I picked out that flower arranging table, and the yellow was what I went with in the end, just because I really like the color yellow and it's very natural and flowery. I put the flower arranging table in the middle of the room facing the door, so that it's the sort of idea that like if somebody was arranging flowers for an order or whatever, that they'll always see people coming in, and it's a very like communal kind of friendly and independent shop vibe. Then I just was trying to figure out how many displays and like exactly how much, because I wanted it to be feeling very full of plants and flowers. So the first thing I put out for sale are these seeds, and they wouldn't fit on like a display properly. They just kind of took up very little space, but nothing else could go with it. But I wanted to make sure that there was like every kind of option of seed available there. So then it was just figuring out what to sell and like where to put everything, because when I say I wanted everything to feel very full and busy, I didn't want everything to be on sale, because that would just be too much to deal with gameplay wise. So it was just like figuring out what would be good. So like putting these little bits on the counter, for example, they could be like herbs, or they could be like plant food and supplements and things like that. I often just do this thing where like as I'm building and I find stuff and put things out and about, I'll find something else randomly and be like, oh, maybe that'll work over there, or that could be there, and I'll just go do that for a second. So this is just a lot of me like trying out different things, and the wall piece with the wicker baskets there was one of the trickiest things, because I think I upscaled the wicker basket piece, and they're supposed to be shelves, so nothing would actually like click onto the shelf, so I had to manually put everything like higher or lower, and it took ages. And I wanted like each corner to have its own distinctive feel, so like the seeds area is over there, and there's like a flower corner, and then a big plant corner right there, and the like succulents plants on the side of the wall as well, just to distinguish where everything is in the store. I really love like some of the new plant items that they've been putting into the sim packs recently. Well, not recently. I know some of these are pretty old packs, to be honest, but um, I just really love putting plants out, and some of the items are really, really great, especially all the kind of succulent plants. So this like standing plant is one of my favorites from Tiny Home, and the ones that I use on the wall in a second are some of my favorite plants in The Sims at the minute, and I just like to try and use them in any build, especially these ones that like go down the wall because they're quite small and like compact, and they have really great color options for them too. And so here you can just see me struggling, as I said before, with putting things on the wicker shelving unit thing here, because I blew it up and just to make it look like a little bit bigger and a bigger feature on the wall, but I just couldn't get anything to actually snap on the wall on the shelves themselves. And I took out these extra shelves on the seed wall, just because I couldn't really think of anything else to put on there to sell, and I didn't want it to be really barren. So I just put these big flower options on the wall instead. And when I was coming up with the color scheme, it was like one of the trickier parts of the build, because I just like, when you think about flower shops and you think about garden centers, it's hard to picture like how the walls and the colors are, because there's usually just plants everywhere. So I just chose like a kind of natural look to match the idea of obviously flowers and nature and the wicker baskets. So I picked a stone wall, but I think looking back I probably should have done maybe like wood paneling or something like that, because I think the stone wall looks a little bit strange and castle like. One of my favorite parts of the color scheme was the lights that I chose, because they look a little bit like honeycomb, like remind me of kind of bees with the crosshatch and the yellow color. So then I moved on to the outside, and just in this little kind of archway area between the glass and the outside, I wanted like a little sort of garden terrarium feeling to it, as if like the archway is framing the flowers inside of it. And it could also like be as an idea of what you could maybe do as a window feature for sim houses that you build as well. And I was just adding in some lights because it started to look a little bit dark and dingy in there, so I wanted to bring in a little bit of light for that. So I had to redo these hedges like a bunch of times, because as you can see, every time I tried to put in a fence hedge, the stairway just kept like breaking. So I changed it up for a like just using the hedges in the flower section outside. I actually think it looks a lot better and like a little bit less neat, but still interesting. I like that those hedges have like such bright colors, and the archway that I chose in the end like combined the kind of color of the stairway with like a nature on the ivy going up it. I quickly moved away just to quickly do the stairway here, because I just found these poles with the banners, and I was like, right, I need to put that in place because it's interesting and I think that's what I want there. So brief diversion. And then went back to the garden. At first I was thinking it could be another part of the shop, so it would have stuff you could buy, but then I just thought it could instead just be like a nice garden area for the whole kind of shopping center, and it would just be like, you know, kind of ideas and showcase a bunch of flowers that maybe you can buy seeds for and stuff like that from the shop itself. So more of a showcase than an actual part of the shop. So going into the reveal now, what you're going to notice is that the vibrance of the flowers disappears, because basically when you have seasons enabled, when you get into autumn and winter, the flowers like die, which I think it makes it look really sad. And the other thing is that you get a lot of rain, which I couldn't change, so you're just gonna have to put up with that for now. But in the end, I think I like the build that I did with this. I think the stone is still a problem, but the color scheme and the lighting and just the kind of fullness and vibrance that is in the shop is really, really great. And I think it helps to bring that vibrance out, that I chose more muted colors of the pink and the yellow, are a lot more pastel-y, so that the flowers can pop a lot more. And the baskets, I think, look great in the end, even though it took me forever to get around how to put stuff on those shelves. So yeah, that was the end of part 5. There's just one more part, so I hope you follow through, stay tuned, and bye bye for now.